After Kyrie Irving went down with a gruesome ankle injury in Game 4, two things seemed very likely. The Bucks were going to win Game 5, and Kevin Durant was going to score 50 points. And it made sense after a wild game with two huge swings that at least one of those things came true, and as a result, we were treated to one of the finest playoff performances in a must-win game that we've ever seen. Before we break down how Kevin Durant carved out the Bucks' heart and ate it in front of them, let's analyze what was working so well the first 29 minutes of the game from Milwaukee. They were able to build a 74-57 lead with very balanced scoring by their big three. It was clear coach Mike Budenholzer wanted to attack with a Drew-Giannis pick and roll. And while you might think it would be to force the switch of Joe Harris onto the Greek Freak, it ended up being the opposite. Let Drew go to work on Blake Griffin. After flaring Middleton to the left wing, they run a very traditional high pick and roll and catch Blake sinking way too low, allowing target practice for Holiday. With Landry Shamet on him, it would have made sense to me to force that switch on Giannis and let him go to work with a huge size advantage. Instead, Drew continued to torture Blake Griffin. Whenever people ask me how I think Giannis should be operating in their offense, the answer is always this: a handoff to him going to the middle with his strong right hand. The spacing was a little off, allowing Jeff Green to present a wall while also being in position to guard his man Middleton on the right wing. But this acted much like a pick and roll, enforcing the switch, and Holiday's shot fake gets him right to the paint. The proper rotation is the lowest man Durant coming over. Shamet foolishly runs the ball too, allowing the nice pass, cut, and finish from Giannis. With Giannis out, they continued to ride the Drew train, where they forced the smaller Mike James onto him before turning it into an inside pick and roll. Now, the Nets defense consistently allows the use of this screen back to the middle, instead of icing it by forcing Drew back to the baseline away from the screen. With an empty left corner, there is no help on the roll man, and Middleton gets free to the rim before hitting the tough runner. Now let's get to the fun stuff that Durant makes, to figure out what the Nets were doing to get him open and how the Bucks were defending it. Here's how it broke down in terms of which players were contesting the shot when Durant scored, and it's pretty clear who bore the brunt of his attack. By the way, Giannis' 0 for 2 looks impressive, but one of them was a blow-by and surefire bucket until Bryn Forbes snuck in there for the nice deflection. But it tells you that despite the complete onslaught and one-sided nature of the Nets' offense, considering Harden was a shell of himself, Budenholzer was still unwilling to go to Giannis or Drew to defend KD. Which is just mind-boggling considering how important it is in the playoffs to find the right coverage to handle the exploits of Kevin Durant. Just like you have to make sure you're covered properly with the right life insurance policy. And that's where Policy Genius comes in. I spend countless hours analyzing each NBA team to give you the best information from many different sources. And it's exactly what Policy Genius does by making it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. You can save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius, and since life insurance naturally costs more as you get older, it makes sense to lock in now, as these savings over the course of 10 or 20 years can really add up. I strive to give you the most fair and balanced analysis of the NBA. And since the experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, you can trust them to offer unbiased advice. You can save $1,300 or more per year by using Policy Genius to compare life insurance policies. I've got a few people depending on me, and the sense of calm I have knowing I've got them covered if anything happens to me is how we all should play and win the game and life. Head to policygenius.com/bball to get started now, and you'll have the same peace of mind that Nets fans have when watching the masterclass that is Kevin Durant with the basketball. It all started with a physical screen by Joe Harris, which forces a switch. I honestly think this is the best matchup for the Bucks, with Middleton's length offering a good barrier. Why he decides to reach in here, I have no idea, leaving him 2 steps behind as KD creates a wide-open 12-footer in the lane. It was Tucker's turn next, and let's face it, despite his ability to be extremely physical, this just isn't the matchup for him, as Durant does a high rip-through, 2 dribbles and a quick pull-up, hitting it despite getting whacked in the face, something Tucker does incessantly. It was looking bleak for the Nets as KD was limited to only 4 first-quarter shots, primarily because Tucker was doing a good job denying him the ball. They even sandwiched him between 2 defenders in the post, and it was clear to me that the Nets were generating good shots when going away from Durant, but his teammates simply weren't up for the task. Budenholzer went with the bold strategy of giving Elijah Bryant some second-quarter minutes of a crucial playoff game. Let's see how it pays off for him. The Nets instantly forced him to switch on to KD, who might not even notice Bryant was there as he nails the three-pointer. On the out-of-bounds play, Lopez inexplicably stops moving despite Tucker being completely out of position, allowing KD to catch the ball on the literal block and shoot a wide-open 10-footer. The Nets call a play to ensure KD gets the ball down low on the right block. By setting this pin down, Tucker gets higher to let Connaughton through, and that lets Durant command good low-post position. Catching this close to the basket means a great look regardless, and Tucker is powerless to stop it. On this out-of-bounds play, Connaughton is in terrible position to get screened off, and it forces Lopez to step over to prevent the pass. PJ Tucker then cheats a step to the outside to get around the Blake screen, but that opens up the cut down the lane. Lopez isn't where he needed to be to offer support, and KD does the rest with a 5-footer. None of this seemed to matter, with Harden unable to score and the Bucks dominating them with a 16-point halftime lead. While KD did very well in the first half, nothing could have prepared them for these kind of numbers in the second. With a big lead, the Bucks didn't seem too concerned with Durant, considering there was no early help rotation, with Connaughton the only guy getting there late. This sets up to be a double pin down for KD to the left wing, which is why Tucker top locks him to prevent this from happening. Of course, that only works if Giannis gets in the right position. He simply cannot let Durant wander down the baseline to the basket, seeing that Tucker is still 5 steps behind the play. Gorgeous pass from Harden, and now the Bucks need to be concerned that they have given the best scorer in the game 2 layups. It got a little absurd by the end of the third, but they couldn't do a better job than this. Picking him up in the backcourt is another interesting strategy, but that triggers the ball screen at half court, allowing KD to get a 20-foot runway before meeting resistance from the slow-of-foot Brook Lopez. With his nose that far in front of his toes, no way he can be fast enough to keep up. Giannis is afraid to help despite being in position, and it's another layup. Meanwhile, we got the Jeff Green experience as he hit 3 threes in the third quarter and was instrumental in the comeback. It's a bad matchup for Lopez as he tries to close out and gives up the drive. Drew Holiday is the help, not Tucker, so it was shocking he'd step in the path like this off of Kevin Durant, which leads directly to the blow-by, forcing Lopez to stop the ball and opening up the good look from the corner. They target Lopez in the pick and roll, and while he was in great position to contain, Tucker gets him out of there, but it's too late. Green has been patiently waiting for the kickout to nail another open shot. And in the middle of the third, after the decent contest down low by Green on the Giannis post-up, a jog up the court lures Giannis' attention to help, and he's not close enough to contest another step-in 3 by Green to close the lead to 11. Where the Bucks get into trouble is backcourt pressure in a 2-for-1 situation and the ball screen set near half court. Again, Lopez is already slow, but he's doing himself no favors being doubled over like this, and they give Durant another layup plus the foul. The Nets continue to target Lopez in the pick and roll, knowing that he is a big and lumbering big man who just won't be effective against Durant if they switch. Middleton can't keep up through the screen, and then a handoff, and the elbow jumper cuts the lead to 6. The adjustment Budenholzer refuses to make is making Giannis the 5 and guarding Green with a smaller guy. This should have been the last possession for Lopez once Durant easily pulls up for the short jumper. And it seemed like that was going to be it as Lopez goes to the bench for a stretch. It was weird that the Nets screened to force Middleton onto Durant, but they quickly ironed that out by bringing Connaughton's man, someone who isn't long enough to disrupt these long-range bombs. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Connaughton again targeted in the pick and roll. Tucker switches this way too easily, and KG just isn't bothered by guys who are a half foot shorter than him. They brought Lopez back in and wisely got Middleton onto Durant, but there is simply nothing you can do when he faces up, you're right in his grill, and the net swishes perfectly anyway. Remember how well the Drew Holiday attacks were working in the first quarter? Well, they didn't really run that at all as the lead continued to dwindle through the second half. But they finally get back to it, forcing Joe Harris onto Giannis. But instead of posting him up where they found some success, Drew takes advantage of the ailing Harden to hit the floater. The Nets were content to let Durant go to work on Middleton without any kind of play. and this is why I like Middleton guarding him more than anyone else, especially since the Bucks seem strangely unwilling to double Durant and get it out of his hands. Middleton's long arms help contest the miss, and the Bucks get the ball back. Not the worst decision to go down low with Giannis and the one-legged Harden, but check James waving off any help, another bold strategy, and after having powered his way into the middle for post-up scores, he opts for the lowest percentage shot here, a turnaround fadeaway from the baseline, bailing the defense out. It was actually nice to see the Bucks play Giannis like the two-time MVP that he is, down low on the block to go get them the win. The only problem is those pesky free throws. Jeff Green is more than willing to give it a shot to stop him, but if he gets too close, just wrap him up. And his woes continue as he can only convert 1 of 2. This was a bit shocking. Up 1, the Nets simply don't know what they want to do. And Green looks confused with what he's supposed to do. Screen down, hop out to the wing. Now there's no time left, and the Bucks have them completely locked up. Right into the part where KD flares to the middle, gets the ball, and while I like to say this was an amazing shot, it's KD who does this sort of thing routinely. A one-dribble pull-up at the shot clock buzzer for a crucial 4-point lead. Notice in his hurry to get his feet planted that the right foot stops a little before the left, requiring in-air turn in order to get better alignment. This dagger was jaw-dropping. When you've got a Durant on your team, I get why you just let him isolate out top since he seems to make every single one of these, but despite Tucker taking the foul foolishly here but not getting called for it, Durant had run out of bullets, giving the Bucks a great opportunity. Here's where it got surreal. I like the no timeout, attack the defense before they can get set, and Middleton catches Durant foolishly reaching in, giving him a mini 2-on-1 in the lane. Now, this would have been a foul and 2 free throws, and who knows what Giannis would have done with them. But for him to do something as basic as drop a simple pass, I thought maybe he had started to go before he had caught the ball, but no, this is just butterfingers, and it cost them the game. It's really hard to criticize a guy who shot 64% from the field and scored 34 points, but the crucial holes to his game lead to costly turnovers and missed shots. Plus, the ability of the defense to sag off of him by 10 feet, and I fear the Bucks are doomed if they want to win a title with him being the number 1. That said, the Bucks have a blueprint for gaining a big lead against this team, but without the ability to adjust how they defend Durant with timely double teams to get it out of his hands, it's likely they'll get caught in the same position again during this series. And if Harden's hamstring improves before Game 6, then this series could be over.